Good morning everybody, this is Lara with your daily update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP. Again, I'm doing this early for you today because I want to do more of this. This is what I got up to yesterday. It was so much fun and I'm planning on doing a whole bunch more of it today, so I want to get out there and get it while the tide is right. Today I'm going to look at pennant patterns. Flag and pennant patterns are reliable continuation patterns. They are preceded by a steep, sharp price movement in either direction. The flag or pennant unfolds. The best performing ones complete within 15 days sessions. These are short-term continuation patterns. And the breakout is in the same direction of the angle of entry. A vertical upward or downward movement is not actually as good an indicator of performance as a move that's about 45 degrees an angle. So here we've got a little pennant that may be forming. It's preceded by a very steep downward movement, so this is not necessarily going to be the best performing pennant. I thought a pennant was unfolding here and I was expecting a downward breakout. We didn't get that, we got an upward breakout. So this is an example of a possible pennant that failed. Just because this one failed doesn't mean this one has to. They don't always work. This is an exercise in probability, as is all analysis, both technical and fundamental. Nothing is 100% certain. But on balance of probability, these are the most reliable short-term continuation patterns. So we identify the pennant, we wait patiently for it to end, we expect a breakout below support, so that's a close below support. We don't need to see a full candlestick below it. As this one's only been forming for 5 days, and the best performing flags and pennants can take up to 15 days, once you get beyond 15 days, the probability of it performing correctly reduces. So because it's only been 5 days, I think we need to be just a little bit patient and a little bit flexible. We may need to adjust resistance and support as it unfolds. So I'm going to want for a strong breakout with push from volume below the support line in order to have confidence that we've broken out of this pennant. When we see a breakout, we take the measured rule. That's the start of the movement to the first reversal of the pennant. So that's the high of this candlestick, 28,145.56, to the low of this candlestick, 25,323.33, and we deduct that distance from the breakout point, and I get a target rounded up to $1 at 22,812. So I've been expecting another final low for Bitcoin anyway, and I expect we're going to find support initially 24,800, below that 21,500, and the target for the pennant is just a little bit above the support. If price breaks through that support, then 19,500 is still where I expect this downward thrust is likely to end. That would be a good test of previous resistance, which was the December 2017 high. It's a very important high, so there's very strong support there. The best performing flags and pennants come on declining volume. This one has overall increasing volume during its formation. This volume is a lot lighter than this, so overall volume is declining, but while price moves and unfolds in the pennant pattern, its volume is slightly increasing. So that could slightly reduce the probability that this one's going to perform as expected, so just be aware of that. On balance volumes doesn't have any technically significant support. This line has too steep a slope and it's in the same direction as on balance volume is moving, but there's a reasonable resistance line, or it's rather weak, but if we see a break above this, that'd be a bullish signal. Moving on to Ethereum, this is an important trend line on the weekly chart from this low, week beginning 12th of June, to this low, week beginning 20th of November. I'm expecting Ethereum to test support at that line to complete a second wave correction. Here it is on the daily chart, the second wave correction, A, B, C, a zigzag, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, expected to move beyond the end of 3 at 1539.71 to avoid a truncation. So with this sideways movement, this is now taking its time. The little range of price that I expect Ethereum's last downward thrust to end in is getting very, very narrow now. We may see an overshoot of the lower edge of this channel, and that's absolutely okay. I'm expecting a new low below this point, but not too much below this trend line. 4 may not move into one price territory, so for the short term, a new high above 1800.89 invalidates this wave count. and adds confidence to this wave count, which sees a low for Ethereum in place back down here. Ethereum also may have a little pennant pattern. Also 5 days of sideways movement preceding the short, sharp downward thrust. It's not a 45-degree angle, it's steeper than that, so the performance of the pennant may have a slightly lower probability, but it's still absolutely a valid pattern. Again, a little bit of patience. We might need to slightly adjust these support and resistance lines as it moves sideways. I judge this is where the breakout point would be if it happened tomorrow or maybe today, and the measured rule, the high of this to the low of this, so the move that immediately precedes the pennant, deduct that from the breakout point, I get a target of 1467. Again, for Ethereum, as price moves through the pennant, volume is increasing, so that may slightly reduce the probability of its performance. Ethereum also doesn't have a good range for on-balance volume. These support and resistance lines have too steep a slope. This is my main Elliott Wave count for XRP. It also is expecting a final downward thrust, and I expect 40 cents may be very well where it ends. There's strong support there, and that's nicely within the normal depth for a second wave correction. So I have a leading expanding diagonal for minor 1, followed by a double zigzag for minor 2. First zigzag in the double, X, second zigzag labelled A, B, C. B is a double combination, zigzag for X, for W, triangle for X, and in here on lower time frames I see a nice regular flat for Y. We BN, C begins, C must subdivide as a 5-wave motive structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alternatively, it's also possible that minor 2 could be a complete zigzag, but this wave count's forced. I can't see a double zigzag complete down here, but I can see A, B, and an extended C wave. What's forced about C is you want to label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, this should be on this low here. But when you do that, 3 would be the shortest, so it violates a core Elliott Wave rule. It's possible 3 and 4 could have been over here, but now this wave count just looks forced. So I think this has a reasonably low probability. Low probability doesn't mean no probability. But the other problem with this is here, if minor 2 is over here, it's only a 74.5% correction of minor 1, and there's two reasons why that's a problem. The first is minor 1 is a leading expanding diagonal. When you have a leading diagonal in a first wave position, the following second wave correction is normally very deep. 74.5% would be considered very deep for most markets, but not crypto. Crypto typically corrects at least 80 to 90 or even 90+% of the previous bullish move. So here 74.5% is on the more shallow side for crypto. So for those two reasons, this also has a lower probability. But again, low probability doesn't mean no probability. Technically, this movement here is now too long lasting. It's now 20 days in duration. So it could be a pennant, but it's getting to the point now where it's just so long lasting, the probability of it performing correctly is going to be relatively low. So I'm not going to draw my trend lines here and use the measured rule. If you did, the measured rule would be from this high to this low, taken from the breakout point. Either way, I do expect one final downward thrust for XRP, mostly based on the Elliott Wave count, and I see so far that price is finding resistance at the lower edge of this channel. I've drawn it from this trend line, this low to this low and extended it on out and placed a parallel copy up here. While this trend line continues to provide resistance, I'll be expecting that final downward thrust for XRP. As price is moving sideways, overall volume is declining. That's normal for a consolidation. And XRP gave us a bearish signal from on-balance volume that was followed through by 2 days of downward movement. On-balance volume is going to trace out a new range, so we don't have new support and resistance. We don't have a new signal from on-balance volume. That's it from me with your daily update for Bitcoin, Ethereum and XRP. I hope everyone's going to have as awesome a day as I'm going to have.